Very good. All right. Thank you all for being here. Since this is being recorded and we won't go through do anything else, I just want to go through again. First off, thank you for being willing to be a sub for us. I appreciate that very much. Your willingness to take part and be a sub for us in our classrooms for our students is important. Because again, there are going to be times that we're going to have staff members who are not going to be able to be here whether they're sick or family members are sick, or we have a lot of extracurricular activities to where we have teachers and coaches that have to be out as well. And so your willingness to come and help be a part and make sure that our classes can still go forward and take place and our kids can be taught and supervised is important. And I just want to say thank you for your willingness to do that. Subs are unsung heroes, and I just want you to know that you are important to us, and I think you are, and I appreciate your willingness, and look forward to working with you and seeing you on our campuses and working with our students. So anyway, so I'll go now to the safety part. So again, safety is a huge part of who we are now. Safety for our staff and students is one of our highest priorities that we have here as a district. So there are certain things that you, as the sub in the classroom, can do to help with that. And of course, when you're that person in the classroom, when you're that sub or that teacher in the classroom, that those students are under your care and your responsibility at that time. So we're going to go through a couple things that we're going to ask of you. And one is that when you're in the classroom with your students and instruction is taking place, when you have students there, that your door be locked. Okay? So inside, just your classroom door. All of our exterior doors are to remain locked anyway. Our officers are going around numerous times through the day checking those to make sure. Ms. Melody might have already stated, if you're by a door and just somebody comes knocking on the door, that you shouldn't let that person in. They need to go through, especially if it's not one of the main doors. If it's one of the side doors, one of our buildings, please direct them to go to the main office to come in. And even if it's me saying, no, Dr. McCullough, you got to go to the main office, like I said, all of our employees should have the key cards if it's a door that has access to it, and if they need in, they should be able to have that to be able to do so. All right. I ask that each classroom will have a map, an emergency exit map on their wall. So, and again, if you're going to be subbing at different campuses, and for sure, even if you're one campus, more likely you'll be subbing at different classrooms. Please be familiar with those and where your classroom would go. So one of the first things you can do when you get there in the morning time, just take a look just to familiarize yourself. Teachers around you will help you, okay, of course, in your classroom, and more than likely your students will be able to help you know where to go as well. Now, we'll go ahead and I'm going to jump ahead probably myself here in just a second, but when you have to evacuate, let me wait on that, because there's a change this year on that piece there. Also, each day, and I could be wrong on this, I'll make sure, they're still getting class rosters from the office. So when you check in the morning, you're going to get class rosters. So if there's an emergency that takes place that you're having to leave your classroom or for sure leave the building, be sure that you take that with you. And here's why. Because if we evacuate a building and we have to do it where we're in our evacuation area and we're having to release students from there, you need to know where your students are. So if you've got a classroom of 20 students, you should, on your list, you'll be that person responsible, right along with your administrator or even a fellow teacher, to mark off when that parent comes and pick that student up. Because what we don't want to happen is in an emergency situation like that where we're releasing kids and now we're sitting here and we've got a parent comes up, where's my child? And we can't account for them. So be sure that when you leave, if you have to leave your room or situation, be sure you have your printed class roster with you, okay? If there is an event of an emergency, the campus administrator will be announcing that over the intercom. I'm not sure if they shared with you. You'll see these throughout the buildings as well. We now have what is called a Centegix badge. I kind of refer to it kind of like I've fallen and I can't get up badge, okay? On this badge right here, you see this little front part. Has a little button. That is the button. I believe that even our sub badges that you'll get in each campus will have one of those. Couple things in regard to that. If you're in that classroom and you have a student who's becoming unruly that you need assistance from an administrator, you'll push that button 3 times. Okay, just 3 times. It's going to send an alert to the campus administrator. Matter of fact, I'll get it. JP, our police chief, will get it. Blake and Heather, other police officers, are going to get it. But normally, if it's just pushed 3 times and issue like that, the administrator will come and help you and give you assistance in the classroom with that student. Okay, so please be wise in regard to how you use that. Okay, but if there's something that you know you need administrative help at that time, push that button. Now, so let's say if it's a different type of emergency. Let's say that by chance, we're going to go to the total extreme. You're at high school, middle school campus, elementary campus, I guess these days, and you have a student that pulls out a weapon of some sort. You just start hammering down on that button as many times as you can. Don't stop, okay? Because when you do that, that automatically will put us into lockdown mode, okay? Our staff knows what that's going to be. We're going to go through a little bit of that for you here in just a second. But that, and also what that does, we have another system that's called Mutual Link, that when we go lockdown, the camera closest to where you are, the 911 operator begins to get that feed, okay? So he or she is able to then relay that to sheriff, police, highway patrol, anybody else who might be responding to us at that time. And they're seeing firsthand, at least down that hallway, if it's in a hallway or outside a building, they're able to see what's going on, okay? So your Strategics button, your badge, has a couple, again, two things. If it's just a classroom deal, you need some administrative help 3 times. If it's a dire emergency and there's something serious going on, you just keep pushing, okay? Keep pushing until you see somebody coming, all right? So that's any questions on the Strategics badge, okay?
How
Yes.
sensitive are those? If I lean
Not
up
real.
lean up against the cabinet,
Shouldn't.
okay.
Shouldn't. We've not experienced any of that yet. Again, I'm not saying it couldn't, but I wear mine from the time I get out of my truck till I get back in. Not had that issue. I don't know if we've really had any other
We
issues.
typically have them sandwiched between your substitute badge and your response protocol. So if it hits something, there's normally something on either side.
Yeah. Also, if you're at elementary, okay, and you're subbing at the elementary campus and you're outside, and you've got kids outside on the playground, and there's an emergency that takes place that you don't need to go back into the building. Let's say there's a fire or something. Even let's say there's a issue that we're needing to keep people out from being in, okay? And you're needing to get out of the playground with your students to a safer area, evacuating, say, to the football field for elementary or something. Their combination locks on those playgrounds are 911, okay? So just like 911 and then add another 1 to it. That is the combination if you're there to help get out of that gate, okay? Any questions on that? That's for both playgrounds. I believe it's also even we now have a fence there behind the library, that little commons area there kind of inside the horseshoe. That lock is also 911 as well. Okay? All right. Miss Melody referenced our protocol badge. Okay? So this is what you have on your badge, and this is what we will follow when there is an emergency. So, first one is a hold. So if there's a hold could be nothing more than we've had a student throw up, have an accident out in the hallway, got brushed up against something, had an accident, cut themselves, blood on the floor. We need to clean something up. So a hold is just that. You're going to hold in your classroom. Even if the bell's about to ring, you're going to hold in your classroom. Even if it's 4:15 or 4:19 in the afternoon, the bell's ringing to be dismissed. If we're in a hold, still hold. Okay? That's all you're doing. You can still move around the classroom. You're not turning lights out or anything. You're not hiding in the corner. You're holding in the classroom. Okay? All right? Next is a secure. So a secure, if you have followed what we've done here last week, you understand, that we had a secure, was that Monday? Last week, Monday? I think it was this Monday. I know it was this Monday. So what a secure does is similar to a hold, but a secure is just basically staying inside the building. It's not just in your classroom. A secure is nobody leaves the building. Okay? So you still have class. Elementary will still, if they've got rotations to make, to go to specials, even to go eat, they can do so. It becomes a little different for us here in middle school and high school because the cafeteria is outside. Our students have to go outside the building to get there. So if you're in a secure, then we're having to figure out something else for lunch if that's during lunchtime. Okay? But a secure, you don't go outside the building. You still can move within, students go to the restroom, all of that. We're just secure. But I'm gonna go back to something Ms. Miller said a while ago. Let's say it's your lunchtime or your conference time, and you've notified the office that you're gonna be off campus, and we go secure. You're not gonna be able to get back in. Not at that time. Okay? So you'll need to communicate with the front office again of whatever campus you're on. Say, hey guys, sorry, I know y'all are under secure, or it's locked, I can't get in. They'll tell you secure. You'll just wait in your car. Okay? Because again, when we're in secure or lockdown, it doesn't matter who's outside, they're not coming in. Parents as well. As bad as parents might want to come get their student, they're not going to be given access to their student when we're either in a secure or a lockdown. And it's for the student's safety as much as it is the parent's safety as well. Okay? So in a secure, again, means we're inside the building, but they can change classes except unless they have to go to lunch outside. And our PE or something like that, we won't transition there either. You'll stay, again, in a secure, your campus administrator will figure out what to do at that point. Okay? All right? Next is lockdown. So you're going to take the students to the interior corner of the room with the lights off. So if this is your classroom, again, your door's already locked. We go lockdown, you're going to close the blinds, you're going to turn the lights out, and you're going to move right over here to this corner with your students. Okay? Reason for that is so in case there is something, let's say the blinds weren't there, you're trying to get to where if somebody does come, or we've got an intruder, or we've got an issue of somebody trying to hurt somebody, that they can't, we're hoping that they look and they can't see anybody in this room, so they're thinking, let me go somewhere else. Okay? But a lockdown is going to be just that. We're locking down everything. You make sure your door should already be locked, make sure it's locked, turn the lights out, and you're trying to get there and move your students to the corner that's the hardest to see from the door or window. Okay? All right? They shouldn't be truthful with you, and I know in high school you're not going to win this battle. Middle school currently makes them keep their phones in their lockers. My guess is there might be a couple who are probably sneaking some. Can't verify that, but probably is. But in high school, if you're in high school and you're in lockdown, you can ask your students not to be on their phone, but you're going to lose that battle again. I know this even from last week or on Monday with our secure. We tried to get that information out to the parents within about 30 minutes. Well, I'm 29 minutes late because as soon as we went secure, we've got some students automatically. Okay, so but just so you know that we go lock down again. You're asking them. It might be, hey, folks, be sure it's on. If you've got a phone on silent, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to out of sight, quiet. You're trying to make where nobody knows you're in that classroom. Okay. One thing I forgot to say, I want to let you know, when we go lockdown, each of your classrooms has what's called a bolo stick. It is orange, and it should be hanging right by the door. And on the very bottom of the door, you're going to see a place that you put it, and there's a hole in the floor. And so it should drop down into the floor, meaning that door cannot be accessed from the outside. Okay? That's only to be used in case of a lockdown. And if you see students messing with it, please have them move away from it on a day-to-day basis because they shouldn't be messing with it. Okay? Orange stick about that long, probably about as big around as my index finger. And it should be hanging right there by the door. Again, you'll slide it into the door, into the floor. Okay? And that's for lockdowns as well. All right? That's lockdown. Shelter in place is pretty much like a secure or a hold. Shelter in place for weather is we're just staying inside. Okay? And that's really what it is. You're just sheltering in place. If it's a shelter in place for hazmat, then that's going to be a little bit different. You're going to stay in your classroom, similar to a hold, but you're in there. Shelter in place with weather, you're going to be, you should have them on your map, show you where to go on that as well. There are certain rooms, especially in elementary, certain areas that you're moving students to that might not be your classroom. Okay, we're looking for an interior room, and so even for middle school, it might be moving across the hallway, but the map will show you where that's going to be as well. So shelter in place weather, look at your map, see where you're supposed to take your students. If it's not staying in your classroom, shelter in place hazmat, just staying in your classroom. That could be something like there's been a chemical spill, 18-wheeler wreck, chemical spill interstate, and winds out of the south, and we're trying not to get the kids outside. Okay, our train track, something happens here, winds out of the north, vice versa. Okay, we're just trying to keep everybody inside. If there is a fire, move students outside and away from the building to a safe place. High school is going to change a little bit probably because and I need to get with Mr. Glover on that now because the construction taking place and our fencing that's in place now. Construction over the next 18 months on the high school campus is going to change a little bit, and we'll work through that so that your maps are updated so you'll know where to go. Again, with door access, things like that, it'll be a little different. Everything, if you're in this Kate building right here next to us, all the exits and entrances are going to be on this side of the building. Okay, on the north side, these two right here will be, even if your map shows that you should be going that way, you can't go that way because you're going to get caught in the construction area inside fencing that you can't get out of. So if you're in the CTE building right there, remember, you've got to come this way, exit this way. Okay, all right. If we are doing an evacuation out of your campuses, I'll tell you right now, they're changing. It will change for high school and middle school. Matter of fact, I'll just say this right here: if we have to evacuate, such as when I taught here between 95 and 2000, you might remember. I don't remember exactly what year it was. 96 or 97, we had a bomb threat. Okay, so of course we're having to evacuate the buildings. We sat with students about 5 to 6 hours on the football field. I mean, they wouldn't allow us back. They were having to wait for a bomb dog or something like that from either Dallas or Shreveport. I don't remember which one had to come from. One of those, but 6 hours. So again, that's what I'm saying. Take your things with you. Your class roster. If you have a cell phone, be sure it's with you. But don't go back for anything. Just be sure those are, grab them and go. Okay. So I say that to say, currently, your map's probably going to show evacuation for middle school has been, we go to the high school baseball field back here. But all that fencing and things like that's been sold, so that fence is not going to be there. And so we want it in an enclosed area. High school would go to the softball field. Well, now we're all going to go to the football field. That's our only enclosed area that we really have. Okay? So if you're here at middle school and we evacuate, everybody's evacuating to the football field. High school, we'll evacuate to the football field. We do have room. We had an all-school pep rally today, and everybody's sitting on the new home side. So there's space, and we just have to be ready for that, okay? So any evacuation is now going to be to the football field, okay? Elementary was already at the football field anyway. Middle school and high school, that's where you're going to have to go as well. All right? Any questions on that part? Questions on that? Couple other tips in regard to safety. Most definitely is what we tell kids as well. If you see something, say something. So here's a couple examples on that. Elementary, we have new fencing there, non-scalable fencing. But last year, a couple of different times, we saw teachers with people, they noticed somebody sitting out in the parking lot that they didn't recognize and didn't think should be there. So what they do, they either called our police officer or called sheriff department to check on it. End up being, I know one time was a father of one of our students who just had, I think, like lunch or something, was doing some work, just wanted to actually just see their kid on the playground. I mean, they didn't go interact. They just want to sit there, do some work, and watch their kid. But our elementary teacher saw something, they said something. And then even this week, I know that we've had, with construction going on, we had two gentlemen walking around. They had hard hats, but our construction folks should be easily identifiable. They should have the yellow vest on, and they should have lanyards with ID that they were Jackson Construction. These two gentlemen did not, and we had a staff member approach them to find out who they were. Okay, so I'm just saying, if you see something, say something. All right, be aware of what's going on. I do ask that in elementary, it's going to be a little different because you're with the students most of the time. Middle school and high school, in between classes, I ask that you're outside your door in the hallways, monitoring what's going on as well. Again, it's also a good way to get to know your kids. You're visible, they see you, but you also kind of get to see what's going on. And if there's any issues in the hallway, that gives you the opportunity to somewhat intervene quickly and try to help handle that as well. Okay? Again, if you've got two 8th grade boys wrestling the floor in the hallway, I'm asking you to go break it up. That's why you have your Centegix button. Push it. There'll be an administrator that can come and help you. Okay? But just be visible. Be outside your classroom door watching that. Be sure, another big thing is your teacher that you're subbing for should be leaving you pretty detailed instructions of what they're asking you to do. I ask that you follow those. Okay? If you have any question with that, have any issue with that, let's say what they've left to do, your students are telling you they've already done it, or you're having issues getting them to do it. Somehow get your administrator to come see you. Talk to the teacher next door. If there's another teacher right there close, teach the same thing. But I'd say the majority of the time, don't blame your students. Follow the instructions of your teacher. Okay, all right, and kind of follow with that. You are the adult and consider the professional. So you kind of control the discipline in the classroom. Okay, you can either help make that go smoothly or not, and that's going to be kind of how you handle that. Okay, so be the adult, give good instructions, keep them engaged, and again, like I said, if you have an issue with a student, then be sure that you let an administrator know. And again, if it's minor issues, you're not having to involve an administrator in, please leave your teacher a note. Let them know if there was a student who, for whatever reason that day, was being disrespectful. It might not be how they normally are, and that teacher should be able to handle that. And if it's somebody that's normal, has issues with them, that teacher can also handle that with some help from an administrator. Again, from a safety standpoint, like I said, more than anything, just be aware of what's going on. Keep your eyes open. Take care of our kids. Again, if you have questions about the protocol or Centegics, please let Melody, as well as myself, know. Ask your campus secretary when you pick it up. That'd be one of those things. Ask, just making sure this is my Centegics button, so you know which one it is. If you have any questions on that, you can talk to them as well. Any questions from a safety standpoint? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Again, I appreciate y'all.